So for starters, what we did is we actually introduced a configuration file, which we call the .env. Like I mentioned, it's basically going to run as an environment variables that we pull into memory when the program starts up. I'll open that up briefly just so you can see what's in there. So now we've moved that secret key into a config file that we read into memory. We've now moved our username and password into something else. And this time I just changed it to your secure password. I can make it like admin again, doesn't matter. But as this is assuming that we're choosing something even stronger and so forth. But we've moved those hard-coded credentials into a configuration file. That's one of the first fixes we did. I'll go back to the server code, and just to remind you, there are a few more modules that I added. So one of them is Helmet, which is a security related library for handling HTTP headers and so forth. And Helmet is basically going to apply some of the security enhancements that we're doing. And then obviously, we also added some session configuration stuff to handle users cookies and so forth, to ensure that we can manage those sessions securely by setting like HTTP only and so forth. And then lastly, introduce some file handling mechanisms to ensure that what we're going to do is we're going to read the actual file that's uploaded. We're going to check the MIME type, which is basically saying like what kind of a file this is. We're going to read the contents of the file itself, and then if it's not an image, we'll just essentially delete it from the server and display a message that says it's not an image. And this is where we do that. So if you recall, let me actually go back to this. Let me do this one more. So this is, where's my file, single file handling. There you go. So this is where we essentially handle like our upload again, and basically we kind of this is so this is where we're actually checking all this place all the way up to here is where we're checking the file itself, just to make sure that it has a MIME type of image and so forth. There's a lot more enhancements we could do, but this is just to kind of like show you at a baseline how we can fix vulnerabilities in code and so forth for an application that seemed pretty much normal, but then actually find out that it's vulnerable within the code itself when we look at the backend and so forth. So yes, so yeah, this is where we check whether it's an image type. We'll actually read the file itself once we do an upload.